Hi, everyone. Welcome to the February Show and Tell presented by Fashion Snoops. I'm going to be your host today, Michael, and I'm joined with a small but mighty group of my colleagues from around the world. We're going to take you through some of our favorite inspiration for the month, everything from art and articles to technology and food. It's always a free-flowing meeting. Just as a reminder, we do this the first Wednesday of every month, so we'll do it again on Wednesday, March 2nd. Welcome to our February one, which is 2/2/22. Hopefully a magical good day. Reminder that this webinar will be available to you on our YouTube channel so that you can watch it on demand. And you will also get a follow-up email with all the links presented in today's webinar. Before we jump into today's links, just a few housekeeping things. We love to hear from you during the webinar. We want to know what is inspiring you, what you love. So please keep the dialogue going. Just as a friendly reminder, when you use the chat box, please select panelists and attendees. I believe it will default to panelists only, in which case only those of us at FS will see your comments. We want everyone to see your comments. So just be sure to use the pull down for panelists and attendees, which you can see right here. We also have some amazing events coming up. Hopefully all of you were able to join us yesterday for our Future of Wellness webinar, which was just amazing, outstanding. I believe it will also be available on demand here shortly if you were not able to join us. Of course, it corresponds with a brand new feature that just went up on our site for clients. But here are some other webinars that are coming up. They're all free to attend. You can register at fashionsnoops.com. Coming up on February 8th, which is next week, we have our 2024 macro trend webinar. This is an opportunity for you to explore the 5 macro cultural shifts that we are forecasting to shape all creative and strategic thinking across lifestyles and industries for 2024. So you will get a really good broad point of view for the next couple of years. That will be on February 8th. All of them are from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then on February 16th, we have our Future of Home webinar. This is where you can discover the must-know trends for the year ahead with our FS Home team and experts. Again, a feature just went live this week for those of you who are clients. It is more than a feature. That's really understating how amazing and impactful it is. So if you are a client, jump onto the website as soon as today's webinar is over so you can explore through that report. And then one we're really excited about on February 23rd at the end of the month, we're going to do a gender inclusive apparel report. This also ties to a feature that just recently went live. This is an opportunity for you to explore very important shifts and innovations that are driving this humans wear category that we keep calling it here at FS, which is gender inclusive apparel. That's going to be a really great one. Again, you can register for all of these at fashionsnoops.com. They are free for everyone. All right, we are going to bring up the links for today's meeting. We have some really cool ones. Give me one second. And I believe we're going to start today with Chelsea from our youth team. Hi, Chelsea.
Hey, Michael. Hey, everyone. I'm Chelsea. I am the senior strategist of Young Men's on the youth team. And obviously, February is a jam-packed and exciting month. We've got Lunar New Year celebrations, Black History Month, and then also I just learned that LGBTQ History Month is also observed in Europe during the month of February, which I didn't know. So there's lots happening and just wanted to touch on a few things. So first and foremost, happy Lunar New Year to everyone, the Year of the Tiger. I wanted to highlight a little pop-up that came up on my timeline. This is in celebration of the Lunar New Year. I tried to get a ticket for it, but it unfortunately sold out really quickly and for good reason. So LA-based chef Tway DeBay, I've been following her for a while, and famed East Village restaurant Madame Vo are teaming up to usher in the Year of the Tiger. This is Tway's first pop-up in New York City. Her and Chef Jimmy Lee are offering up an extensive menu of Vietnamese delicacies that are traditionally served to honor the holiday, and then also some family favorites and best hits. So it's a 5-course meal. If you want to actually go back and click on that more link, you can see some of the things that they're going to be serving. They look delicious. And just a little bit more about Tway. She is a fairly young chef, and she's been making the rounds in the industry. She has a TikTok cooking show with People Magazine. It's called Celeb Eats, and she recreates celebrity recipes on People Magazine's TikTok. Super cute. And then she had a booth at Complex Con's First We Feast Lagoon this year. And I actually got to go and I tasted some of her food, and it's delicious, just as good as it looks. And she was also there talking to everyone. She's super sweet, super passionate about food. So it's sold out, but I'm excited to see some of the photos and hear people's reviews on it. I'm sure it's going to be really great. And then there's another link here. It's just a report, a little hot now. We did with some more information, but you don't have to click on that. Anyone who's subscribed can go look at that hot now. And the next, also in honor of Black History Month, we're excited to highlight Black voices and influencers and designers and initiatives through a series of weekly reports cross market, where we'll sort of introduce and revisit emerging talents alongside some of our favorite established changemakers and industry giants. So anyone subscribed to the site will have seen our T5T yesterday that highlighted a few to kick us off. But here are a few that I sort of found relevant to the youth market, because that's what I focus on mostly. So first we have Telsha Anderson Boone. So she's the founder, buyer, CEO, sort of just everything elser of the New York City concept store TA, which she founded. It's beautifully designed and curated. It's in the meatpacking district in New York. It's definitely one to watch out for. And then next we have Body by Raven Tracy. If you are on the internet, I'm sure you've seen some of this imagery, but it's a highly sought after sort of like streetwear centric brand. The imagery is always really beautiful. And it's by the model and entrepreneur Raven Tracy. And there's this like mantra of self-acceptance and inner growth. I feel like we're really seeing that grow within the women's wear industry and the men's wear industry. So that's something to look out for too. And this model is actually someone that I used to work with in Brooklyn. So love to see her in these campaigns. She's beautiful, amazing. Her name is Rose. So love her. And then next we have Goody. So this is founded by longtime YouTubers and even longer time friends, Ricky Shucks and Tim Chantarangsu. So they basically just make like really high quality basics with these really sort of wacky phrases on them. This one's not as wacky, but just a bowling shirt that calls them the losers is so funny. And then the last one we have here, this is one that I came across and loved. It's called Denim Tears, and it's founded and designed by the fashion mogul Tremaine Emery. So focus on these sort of like couture adjacent streetwear pieces, but they also focus on educating on art and culture. And there's a really hyper specific brand of storytelling. So you can see the Levi's are painted on, and they actually have done collaborations with Levi's and a recent collaboration with Uggs. So really cool. They've got a lot of really great stuff. And we're going to continue to share more throughout the month of February. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. And I love that you called it couture adjacent streetwear. And I know a lot of us were touching on that in some of our product shifts for last season as well, with some of our cultural sentiment. So it's a really cool term to use.
Yeah. And then the last one is super special and exciting to share. So one of our amazing past interns on the youth team was the incredibly talented Brianna. You can see her here. We were so sad to see her go because she was really such a great addition to the team, but she's busy studying away for that fashion degree. And she's definitely on track to becoming one of the greats in the industry. So keep an eye on her. She's so talented. But I just wanted to share a few reels and TikToks that she posted recently. I did ask if it was okay to share, and she said sure. But she is highlighting this one here. She's highlighting Black owned handbag brands, and you can see it's just super cute, quick with some pictures of the brands. And then the other link, she also shared some Black fashion history. She touched on Willie Smith. So they're so fun and well done, and they really show how TikTok is sort of becoming this new creative outlet, but it's also an educational platform for young people. I don't know if you want to unmute and listen to this one for a second, but she did a great job.
Supreme, there was Willie wear. Designer Willie Smith, born in 1948, influenced a generation throughout his career. Smith created his label Willie Wear, mixing the relaxed fit of sportswear with high-end elements of tailoring, drawing inspiration from various sources including street culture, African and Indian prints, workwear, and the Black church. He loved jumpsuits and the utilitarian aspect of the silhouette. The brand was about more than clothing. The godfather of streetwear talked about wanting to revolutionize the industry, working across architecture, film, art, and collaborating with the likes of Christo and Jean-Claude, Sight, and Keith Haring. Unfortunately, his reign in fashion would be short-lived after contracting AIDS and eventually dying of pneumonia at the age of 39. Smith's designs were truly for the people, and there is no doubt that his impact on streetwear as we know it has been influential.
So that was that. I just thought they were so well done. She did a great job. And then also just like great information in that small amount of time. So I just wanted to share those. We love her. She's definitely, her name's going to be there. She's so talented.
We have the best interns at FS. So many of them go on to do awesome things. Many of our interns are now full-time colleagues of ours, including you, Chelsea. So thank you for sharing those. By the way, WillyWare, for any of you who watched Pose on FX, which wrapped up last year, that was a huge influence. The collection was a huge influence in some of those earlier seasons on Pose. So really influential menswear collection. I'm glad she included that. Thanks, Chelsea. We are going to move to Aurora. Hi, Aurora.
Hi, everyone. Happy Lunar New Year again. So today I have two things to share with you. The first is this app called W1D1, which was a gift from my algorithm that popped up one day in my stories when I was clicking through, and it stands for week 1, day 1. It explores art as a tool for self-expression and invites its users to slow down, take time to observe the everyday beauty in really small things that may be very commonplace. In this article, the journalist talks from or speaks about her experience, like trying to capture a very specific movement of something in her house that the app challenged her to do one day. But it basically sends you daily challenges and connects you with contemporary artists and creatives from all over the world. It really fosters a sense of community and connection, as you can see new perspectives on like a global scale. I really like this because it shows how technology can also be used to enhance our creativity and create a more conscious observance of our daily lives. It was inspired by the ethos of a Russian literary critic named Viktor Shklovsky. I'm not sure if I'm butchering that, but his purpose of creating art was basically to make you see things like you see them for the first time. So in the same way, this app, all of the answers remain anonymous, but everybody is responding to the same prompts. It sort of reminded me from like icebreaker challenges from art school, where you just get to see sort of how everybody else's minds work and become really inspired from all of that. And then if you want to just click around on their Instagram, they have some really beautiful visuals. And the way that they've branded it is very Gen Z, a little bit edgy. And I'm very, very into all of the graphics.
Everyone's loving your term. Good. All right, what else you got for us?
The second one is also to kick off Black History Month. It's a creator that I followed for a long time. His name is Gerald Cooper, and he runs this account called Hood Mid-Century Modern. And it basically explores like a new sort of preservation movement that really is very democratic and is a part of a larger conversation, I think, that's happening in the art museum world, that, you know, we're questioning, why do we think of this as high art, this as lowbrow? Where do we draw those lines? What's influencing that? So there's lots of brilliant resources available that show the connections between anti-racist theory, a lot of like Black cultural significant themes, and architecture, a built environment. So if you're really interested in learning about how design and architecture sort of overlaps with a lot of the racial issues that we're experiencing right now in this country, then this is a really great place to start. There's really nothing like it else on the internet. So it's a great archive. Yeah, lots of fun to poke around and see sort of how he ties all of these different cultural pieces together.
Yeah, I believe someone originally shared this at a show and tell probably more than a year ago, and we kept it on here. This is before Aurora actually joined our team, but the account has really grown since the last time that we shared it. And I actually think it's just an excellent account. If you're not following it, make sure that you do so, just because it really is a really interesting point of view for modern architecture that you're just not used to seeing. I agree, it's really refreshing. Thanks so much, Aurora. Appreciate those links.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and next up we have Jay.
Hi, how are you? Hi, I'm Jay. I'm the VP of Home and Lifestyle here at Fashion Snoops. The first thing we're going to be talking about is our Future of Home report that just published this week. It is a beautiful white paper of 24 different topics that we feel are the most important for home right now. We talk about everything from the wellness attributes, looking at things from like how our home has become a spa now, how bedroom wellness has changed from a sustainability aspect. These new genres or niches like wellness real estate are really important as we move forward, and they're definitely on the horizon. Even looking at topics like sustainability, really breaking it down into general topics and how they're affecting the home. So we look at how homes are, dealing with climate adaptation, or how the ocean in general is now impacting the home. So it's going to be a really great webinar that we're hosting. As Michael said, it's free for all. If you guys don't have access to the site, you definitely can join us. It is on February 16th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we just kind of wanted to give you a little glimpse into this report. It definitely starts our year from a lifestyle perspective of where we're going to be going through the season. So we're very excited that it just launched.
Yeah, and let me just give you a huge compliment. Monday night, I sat down to actually start streaming something. I had this on my computer. I never pushed the play button on streaming. And this entire feature was my entertainment for a couple hours. So well
Love
done.
it. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. If you guys are clients, again, as soon as we're done today, get on the website and check out that report. Report is not even what it is. It's so much more than that.
Yes, Andrea, it's on the site. You can access it through the lifestyle section in home. And then the next article I wanted to share is probably one of my favorite finds of this year. It's this company called Lenovo Design. And it's, all right, so let me just step back and just talk about this kind of genre that we're seeing happening pop up in home, where there's age of nostalgia kind of coming to the forefront, where consumers are really obsessed with vintage finds, vintage furniture, especially since there's sourcing issues everywhere. It's definitely one of the big markets that people are going towards. And so this Lenovo Design, it's actually in Jersey City, right outside of New York. Michael and I both have ties there. But they basically have opened a warehouse. Their owner is a Danish design lover, and he goes back every single year and plucks mid-century modern finds. I mean, I'm talking like the scraps of mid-century modern furniture, and brings it back to their warehouse in Jersey City and redoes the whole thing. Like, brings it back to its glory. And I just thought that was such a really great circular design conversation. And it's totally accessible. He has so much furniture in this warehouse ready to go, which I find really funny, considering the majority of people are really waiting like 6 months at this point for any kinds of these pieces or knockoffs of these pieces. But it's a really great read from Fast Company, how they're starting to really see this kind of niche industry come to the forefront and finding more and more of these kinds of brands pop up.
I
know we all kind of wish, we all wish we had this when we were building our office, right, Lily? All the mid-century modern finds here, but the warehouse is absolutely huge and definitely somewhere to reach out to if you guys are looking.
It's amazing. And I love that you bring up an excellent point that because of the supply issues, consumers and decorators alike do have to kind of look inward at very novel sources, right?
Yeah, it's funny because there's like a twofold to the conversation where people are really craving nostalgia. We've really gone through this whole pandemic, so we want things that feel familiar and comforting and really kind of have that old school flair. But then when you pair it with all the sourcing issues that we're having anyways, it really kind of makes this like beautiful trifecta of why vintage furniture is becoming as hot as it is right now.
Excellent. Yep, looks like a great warehouse I'd love to be lost in.
Yeah, same.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you for you and your team for doing that feature. So good. Next from our culture team, we have Erza. Hi, Erza.
Hi, everyone. So my first link here talks about anarchist architecture. So think Christiania in Copenhagen or Slab City in the California desert. This includes remodeling existing structures, usually abandoned buildings, or even building entirely new spaces in self-organized form. This type of building comes from a place of radical skepticism, but not just from a place of disorder, but rather a different order. So it's based on the principle of autonomy, voluntary association, mutual aid, and direct democracy. So this whole article comes from Paul Holberton's book. It's called Architecture and Anarchism, Building Without Authority. So he just talks about this shared innate desire that people have to share time and space together without financial gain, usually seen in a lot of communes. But he also argues for a way of building that focuses on changing the role of citizens from recipients to participants so that they too have this active part in playing, you know, and building their towns and their cities. And what caught my eye with this article is when I went to visit Egypt, I was really shocked to see all the thousands of unfinished tall buildings, and I really wanted to understand it because I saw there was people living in them, and there was thousands upon thousands of these like unsturdy buildings that most of them didn't even have a roof on it. And I guess when the revolution struck in early 2011 in Egypt, many investors took advantage of the chaos and they built as much and as many buildings and as fast as they could, bypassing all of the regulations. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of buildings have plummeted, you know, people have died from these like unsafe, illegal buildings. So I don't think the thing here is to get rid of architects and engineers entirely, because obviously they are important to constructing safe structures, but it's really about like them collaborating with community to really take architecture to new heights and, you know, maybe take it to like a place that we've never taken it before and make it even easier for citizens to understand certain rules without having to, you know, go to architecture school or become engineers and, you know, built in like a more free type of way. Mm. And then my next example, my intern Lucrezia showed me this. Again, it's with architecture, but it's a beautiful massage parlor in Shanghai. It's called Green Massage. And it really invites visitors to get immersed in the sensory experience in like this dreamlike world. It really disconnects the mind. So guests are slowly liberated and relaxed all before the massage even begins. So what I love here is how they incorporated the architecture with the service. So they're kind of enticing this calmness and serenity the moment you walk into their so-called rabbit hole. And it just got me thinking how we're really used to greeting receptionists in a bright room with many products to buy. But, you know, if you're providing a service, maybe we can stretch out our imagination to go wider than the service itself. And I think sensory experiences in retail have so much more potential than, you know, an Instagram-worthy backdrop or music playing.
Wow, what is going on with these like
so gorgeous. Wow.
I mean, they look like otherworldly. Wow.
Yeah. Nico was saying, looks like our mystic.
It looks
yes, yes, it reminded me of that too. It's gorgeous.
These color palettes are just amazing. It's like jewel tones meets like, you know, otherworldly pastels. It's really awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Let's all go. Thanks, Erza. So next are my links. So my first one is an article that really kind of tickled me. Any of you that are in menswear, like those of us on the menswear team, know that fashion illustration is a really important part of the history of menswear. And sometime in the 60s, it was pretty much the main way of communicating style in menswear, everything from Playboy to GQ to, of course, the Japanese and then the French in the 70s. They basically used fashion illustration to communicate style. That kind of went away in America at a certain point in favor of photography and editorial, but it's still a really important aspect of culture in Japan and in France. So GQ did a really great article last week. Is the next great fashion influencer a cartoon? And they kind of cited a few amazing examples that I really love, and I just kind of want to go through them today. But before I say that, one thing to kind of keep in mind is that cartoon is still so important overall in retail. I mean, you have, talking about everything from, all the Warner Brothers stuff that you'll find on Grailed to, of course, the Looney Tunes collab with Kith a couple years ago. I believe it was in 2020. Ralph Lauren, of course, has the iconic polo bear. Rowing Blazers did a collaboration for Babar. It goes on and on and on. Of course, we know about Simpsons and Balenciaga. So this article really just has a really great little example. This one I really love, and it's a newer one that I wasn't familiar with, but it's called Mr. St. George. The guy that's behind it, his name is Javier Charpy. He lives in Paris. He's only 22 years old. And he kind of does this whole like French Ivy. He thinks that probably he loved Paddington Bear when he was a child, and he thinks that's kind of where the influence comes from. But again, I love how this is kind of a little wink and nod to street style. You can see that he kind of places his Mr. St. George in the parameters of actual street. And he kind of has really great conversation and dialogue. Like this one is like, what's your size on oversized? And so people kind of talk about it. He tells the story about how he was at a party one night in Paris and he saw a guy dressed like this. So he came home and he kind of he sketched it and put it on his character. So just really, really love this one. It's really great. Follow that one if you don't. The next one you've heard me talk about before, because there was a book that came out last year and I talked all about it. But this one, of course, is Mr. Slowboy. And there was a really great pop-up book that we touched on. And so I thought there was a link here. Here it is. And so this one I've talked about. There's a brand new book that just came out about Mr. Slowboy. You can order on Amazon or anywhere you get books. Of course, he's been doing this as a blog since 2015. He was in the advertising industry for, I think, 13 years before he started doing this one. But it's really cool. This is probably one of my favorite ones. And there's some really great essays at the beginning of his book just about the importance of fashion illustration in the history of menswear. Here's the book right here. You can see it. So order that. It's only like $45. It's a beautiful coffee table book. So you can check that out. And then the last one is one that I wasn't familiar with at all until I read this article the other day, but it's called Dick Carroll. And this one is more kind of retro Americana. It's definitely inspired by kind of the old illustrators you would see in Mad Magazine back in the day. It kind of has a comic book quality about it, I think. But you can see that, you can see his page here, and he is US based. So you can kind of go through and see how they're a little more cartoony. I kind of love how he uses older models for the illustrations. So this one's really fun and more kind of graphic novel inspired. So love that article. You can check out the GQ article in your own time just to kind of read about it. But yes, illustration could be the next great fashion influencer. My next article, I'm really excited to share more just because of the color inspiration, but let me just give you a little intro because I want to do it justice. You can read this article if you have a Wall Street Journal login, but this is all about this indigo dyeing studio in Bali. There are people that are coming from all over the world, mainly Europe, to kind of do workshops. They can accommodate no more than 10 people at a time. It's called Tayan Taru. That means the tree that grows between heaven and earth. And it was started by a guy from Spain named Sebastian Mestog. He now lives in Bali with his wife and his children. And so he started this studio to produce indigo textiles that are sold in shop on site, as well as he has 2 stores there in Bali. They also work with artists on custom projects like dyeing Japanese paper for architects, sculptures, wood carvers, etc. And let me just read you something that he said about indigo before I show you these amazing photos. They say that, of course, indigo is a very, very old form. It's quite different because the color is alive, literally. And this really inspired me. By alive, he means that it's a naturally occurring bacteria that's crucial to the process, very similar to winemaking, which relies on microorganisms to ferment. So as a result, of course, no two indigo batches are exactly the same color. Indigo is incredible for how it's been a unifying material. I love this. It's touched almost every corner of the globe and every culture. It has thousands of years of history, and it's one of the oldest materials used for dyeing and printing. He also loves that it's a high-low appeal. It shows up across all classes and categories. It's a luxury item, it's prized, but it's also just a marker of people when it comes to things like denim. So I really, really love that. And then the other thing that I just wanted to say about it is that just like the crushed mineral lapis, what they use in indigo is a very rare and prized thing. They used it, of course, in painters like at the height of the Renaissance. The Virgin Mary was often given the highest status blue robes because, of course, blue has special virtues for textiles. But what's super cool is that this scientist, this conservation scientist in Detroit, said that it's one of the most stable colors that you can use because when you see old tapestries, the green landscape parts now look blue because the yellow dye has faded over time and the blue has remained. So let me just scroll through so you can see these photos. Here he is with his beautiful family, of course, all wearing indigo. But look at this. It took years for them to make their home in the studio because there was no electricity, no running water. Here is his wife, beautiful. But some of my favorite photos, this one is my favorite photo. I just want to use this in a report immediately. I just love just the effect of the indigo on the skin. You can see here, this is the outside of their home, right next to the studio. The article goes through kind of about the process of what he does and also how they built the home. Here is that is the indigo paste once they're ready to work with it, but just loving the contrast with the natural elements around it. Here he is working. And this is his home and the studio. They're the vats they use. And then love this picture. It's just a great picture to end on. You can see the raw materials. So yeah, read that when you get a chance. There's his wife again. But they really go into the science of indigo, about the bacteria and everything. I don't have time to do it today, but wow, really inspired me, that article. So.
Wow, Michael, it's so stunning. I need to get there now.
Let's all go. I mean, they do
Let's all go.
10 at a time. We have to take turns.
Workshop, indigo workshop for all of us.
Yeah, love it. All right, Nico, you are up.
Hey everyone, Nico here. I'm an analyst from the culture team. And Michael, your last link is actually a great lead into the TikTok that I want to show you guys today, which comes from a creator named Anna Kane. And before we play it, I just want to intro you guys a bit. She creates what she calls bio fashion. And she does this with the aid of natural dyes, fermented food waste, bacterial formations, and even her own homegrown silk from silkworms. And this is her most recent video, and it basically shows her process using onion skins and some other natural dyes she previously created to give a really unique dye effect to a secondhand skirt that she had. So I'll let you guys see kind of what she does in this video.
All right, let's check it out.
Seeing you got ritualistic plans in my soul of addiction for now, 'cause I'm falling apart. Tension between us just like picket fences. You got issues that I won't mention for now, 'cause we're falling apart.
Wow, I mean, the onion peels just are so beautiful on their own.
Exactly, yeah. I wanted to share because I think it's super in line with our untamed cultural sentiment and design aesthetic, which I linked right under this link. You know, of course, some of the manifestations that we had in the cultural sentiment were foraged and salvaged and underworld wisdom. You know, we're talking about this cultural fascination happening now with using foraged materials and reusing food waste.
Mhm.
Also, those unseen catalysts in our environment, like the bacteria and the fungi and their amazing abilities that we're just tapping into now.
Wow, excellent. What
Yeah.
else you got?
The second link that I want to share is from A24's podcast. A24 is the production studio behind Euphoria and so many other amazing productions. They also always have great guests, and they always bring these kind of unlikely pairings in their interviews. So my friend actually shared this one with me, which features the indie pop artist Lorde and the actress from Euphoria who plays Jules, Hunter Schafer. So first of all, I'm just a huge fan of both of them. Like Lorde was really the soundtrack to me maturing into like a teenager. And then, her music is just packed with so much nostalgia for me. And then Hunter Schafer is just one of those most likable celebrities. She's so cool, calm, creative, and she means so much to the trans community for her representation of the trans experience on Euphoria. And I always just think it's really interesting to listen to, two people who have such a deep influence on pop culture or youth culture. And they both just have like a really lovely tone of voice. It's a really cozy conversation. They talk about coming out of early 2010s Tumblr culture, which is starting to resurge right now. They talk about their creative processes, trans aesthetics, and astrology. So basically everything that you would expect in a conversation between Lorde and Hunter Schafer.
I love that. Lorde is actually super intellectual. If you ever read any interviews or see any features, she's not just a pop star, but she's a very smart woman. I'm glad that you shared this. And for any of you out there that maybe haven't watched Euphoria, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't have, please get on it right away. We all were talking, some of us were talking about it yesterday, and of course it's a very dark series. It can be a little uncomfortable for some, but out of everything in cinema and TV right now, nothing is shot quite like it. Nothing has the kind of score, musical score and soundtrack like it. Just makes you feel things that you just don't from any other kind of media.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to mention that we're all always talking about it, always sharing stuff on our stories about Euphoria. So it's definitely a big thing we all like to watch here.
Yeah, my favorite thing is Sunday nights once it's done and I'm in bed, and I like to go on Twitter and I like to basically go down a rabbit hole of reading what thousands of other strangers from around the world and how they're reacting to the most recent episodes.
Definitely. Yeah. And then the last link that I have is just the registration link for the gender inclusive apparel webinar, like you shared in the beginning of our show and tell today, Michael. It's going to be hosted by myself and our women's wear strategist, Danny, and we're going to outline the history of, as well as the present day shifts that are driving the future of gender inclusive apparel. So please join us on February 23rd.
Right. Such an interesting, very important topic right now. And I know that it comes up internally a lot. And I think you've inspired a lot of us with this new feature. And I think internally with a lot of our markets, whether it's menswear, women's wear, et cetera, it's just something that we really want to think about going forward. So thank you for you and Danny for broaching that topic. Okay. Next, we have Mallory coming off of an amazing webinar yesterday with the rest of our beauty team. Well done, Mallory.
Thank you. It was a blast. So I'm Mallory. I'm a beauty and wellness strategist. Apologies for not being here on video. I'm having some Wi-Fi funky issues today. Mercury isn't even in retrograde, or is it still? Urza will let me know. But so today I'd like to show this link that I shared with the team the other day, and it's really inspiring me personally. So Uniqlo has launched a repair service at their flagship New York City store. For $5, any customer can bring a Uniqlo product in that's been damaged or needs repair, and get minor repairs to their garment, which is interesting because it ties into something I've been noticing in my TikTok algorithm, which is I've suddenly been put on like clothing repair talk. My algorithm has just decided that now is the time for me to learn how to sew. So it's feeding me all these videos. And this has also really inspired me because to me, this initiative is more helpful to your average consumer than so many of the company initiatives that I've seen recently with clothing sustainability. Obviously, brand commitments to things like more eco-friendly shipping and upcycling, all of those are great. But in terms of impacting your average consumer, I think this is wonderful because we know that one of the biggest problems with fast fashion is that it's made to be replaced, made to be thrown away. And that if we can keep our clothing in a constant state of repair, repurpose it, reuse it, repair it, it can just have such a longer lifespan. So in keeping with this initiative, I also wanted to share a few more links. I have two of the TikTokers who, so one of them is Mindful Mending. You can click on that and that will play this TikTok, then we can go to the next one. And so she just has so many interesting videos, really helpful, very easy to learn. She breaks everything down. Here she's just darning what looks like some moth holes in a merino wool sweater. And this is a sweater that she thrifted. So again, it's really speaking to that sustainability aspect of, trying to do whatever you can to give clothing a second life or extend its life. And I know my grandma would certainly approve because she's constantly admonishing me for not knowing how to sew a button. So I definitely am very excited to learn these skills. So this is one. And the other TikTok I have been following is Jitter by Bug. And this one, if you can put the sound on, because she speaks a lot to sustainability, might be interesting to listen in.
Most of my clothing is in a semi-constant state of repair. It's in the nature of clothing to break down, but that doesn't have to be the end of its life. Repairs can be invisible or they can be decorative, but no matter what kind of repair it is, it's going to add value and a longer life to the garment. I've owned this pair of pants for years, and the longer I own them, the more I love them, because every time they start to break down, I have the opportunity to add something really special to them. They've kind of become my test garment for visible mending techniques, and I think it's really interesting to see how this type of patch on one knee looks compared to the darning I did on the opposite knee. Most of my clothing.
Wow, isn't that beautiful? That's great.
Yeah, I love that. And it's just so interesting because again, we are our clothes, clothes are us. And the more they can express, what we've been through, maybe a rip on the knee that we repair is, from a certain event that we remember. So it also helps build those memories and keep those memories within the clothing.
Someone needs to collaborate with her and have her in the stores or mending.
Yes, that would be an amazing pop-up, like hiring one of these TikTok collaborators to put a decorative embroidered patch on your ripped shirt or something.
Yeah, I love the idea of doing the repair and mending as art, is making a statement, not just being functional. And this repair thing, it's really interesting because of course, Patagonia really was on it, I don't know, 4 years ago at least. And of course now you go into their stores and they have, merchandise that's been repaired and reconstructed. But I don't remember a fast fashion retailer kind of doing it. And someone from our team, and I forget who, forgive me, said that they've been doing this at the Uniqlo's in Japan for a while now. This is the first time we have it in the US, but it really says something about kind of how they feel about their product to be willing for $5 to repair something that probably didn't even cost more than, $30, $40 in the first place. It's really great.
Yeah, and I just love the mutual benefit to the environment and to the consumer in that if you rip, like a seam in your t-shirt, the best way to keep it out of a landfill and to keep that garment in use is just to get a simple repair to it. But so many consumers, it's either cost prohibitive or it's not convenient or they don't know how. And I love initiatives like this that are stepping in to intervene in that waste scale.
Yeah.
And so my last link is because I was just doing a ton of research on clothing repair and I came across this site. This isn't particularly new, but I just love this brand concept and I love this as a service. It's called the Clothes Doctor. And basically they have both clothing care products, but they also have mending tutorials. They also do mending services. So it's literally like a three-pronged approach to making your clothing last, either with, special washes you can use on delicate fabrics. They also have these tutorials that show you, much like the skill sharing of TikTok, how to repair and reuse and upcycle your clothing. And also if you are slightly lazy like me, they also have services that you can send in your clothes, or if it's a more advanced technique, maybe invisible mending on a wool sweater that you may not be able to, know how to do. It's just wonderful. And obviously they completely advocate for the sustainability aspect of this. And I just really think we're going to see more Because, reducing one's consumption is a great way to, live a sustainable lifestyle as a consumer, but also making sure that your products last longer is another key aspect of it. So I think we're going to see consumers gravitate towards making their clothing last.
Great topic, Mallory. Thank you for bringing that up for us today. And then last but not least, our resident sci-fi expert, Jason, has something to share from that world. Hi, Jason.
Hey, everybody. My name's Jason, of course. I'm the men's senior strategist at FS, and today I'm sharing a trailer for a movie called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, starring Michelle Yeoh of Crazy Rich Asians and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She plays a Chinese-American mom who, while filing her taxes, gets swept up on an interdimensional quest to save the world by exploring other universes, connecting with all the lives she could have led. So go ahead and play it.
Great.
Mrs. Wang, are you with us? I am paying attention. Now, you may only see a pile of receipts, but I see a story. See where this story is going? It does not look from another universe. They are so time to help you. Multiverse. I've seen thousands of Evelyns. You can access all their memories, their emotions, even their skills. There's a great evil spreading throughout the many verses. And you may be your only chance of stopping it. Don't make me fight you. I am really good.
I don't believe you.
Wow, that was really good. He's waiting in the wings.
The universe
He speaks of senseless things.
is so much bigger
Written in you and me.
than you realize.
Of all the places I could be, I just wanted to share with you. Remember our mission. Consider the fate of every single world of our infinite multiverse. There is no way I am the Evelyn you are looking for. Every rejection, every disappointment has led you here to this moment. Don't let anything distract you from it.
Thank you, Jason. We all need more women superheroes, especially those who are in their 60s. I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you for an amazing show and tell. Some really great links. Again, we'll follow up with you with an email with the links from today, and you can watch this webinar back on demand on our YouTube channel later this week. Make sure you sign up for those webinars coming up in the next few weeks. They're going to be amazing. Otherwise, have a wonderful February. Happy Lunar New Year. Happy Black History Month. And we'll see you in March. Bye, guys.